Welcome in A to Z Sports on a Monday. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I sure did. I don't know about you, Zach, but had a fun weekend. But now back to the grind on a Monday morning. A to Z Sports Live, the quintuple broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and IG Live. Welcome aboard. We're going to talk about the 5 most pivotal moments in sports, modern sports mostly, but the 5 most pivotal moments in modern sports. And this is stemming off the ESPN 30 for 30 last night, long gone summer, talking about steroids in baseball and how things changed with Bonds, Sosa, McGuire. My Twitter timeline was filled with that topic last night. And then I still saw people talking about how smooth King Griffey Jr. was, even though he was not involved in the steroids era of baseball, just guilty by association, I guess, with being surrounded by those guys in steroids. But Zach, welcome in. We're going to talk about the 5 most impactful, pivotal moments in sports. Then we're going to get to a poll we put out there yesterday on social media. Would you attend a sporting event if you were able to today? So we'll give you the results. We had over 800 interactions on that poll question across platforms, comments, and votes as well. So we'll discuss those. Then the end of show topic is how many times a day do you text yourself? Because I think Zach and I both text ourselves pretty often. We'll ask you guys that. How often? How many times a day do you text yourself? So Zach, let's get it going officially here this Monday morning.
Yeah, the old Toy Story song, "You've Got a Friend in Me." I text myself a lot. I think I'm one of my best friends. And we've got a close bond. We know each other very, very well. We know our good qualities and our flaws. We're going to have a great show today. I'm excited about talking to you. We're going to have a big week, including, I got to promote this, season finale. Week 17 of my Blitz venture is today before the playoffs. And I have a treat for everybody that has been following my journey over the last several weeks. Me either going to be releasing it later today or tomorrow morning. A very special treat that I think a lot of people will absolutely be drawn to and thoroughly enjoy. So Pittsburgh, in Pittsburgh today, 1 p.m. We'll see you there. Be there, be square. Before we get started on today's show, though, we do want you guys to share the broadcast. Please share the show if you're on Periscope/Twitter, bottom right corner of your screen. Tap that bad boy and retweet the broadcast. We need to pop up in your Twitter followers timeline. Also, Facebook. What's going on, Facebookers? More people will pile in over the next 5 to 10 minutes. And as you do, please share the show, share the broadcast. Sharing is caring, and we need to pop up in those Facebook friends news feed. So share the broadcast around. Hello to YouTube, hello to Twitch, and hello to you sit there on IG Live. Houston says happy 615 day. So a big day in Nashville. It is 615.
Right. And it's my dog Sophie's 8th birthday today.
Same birthday as my grandfather.
There you go.
My late grandfather. My day, and I got a big birthday. Unfortunately, 1 year older this week on Thursday. Right. I'm kind of dreading it, but also getting excited because I'm going to be heading to a little bit of a rest and relaxation here for my birthday. So we will get this started. Fun show today. Excited about the interaction. Before we get started, special thanks to Bobby for our second topic. Yes. He was the person, Bobby, credit where credit is due, who made up "Would you go to a game?" wanted us to do the poll. And as Austin said, close to 1,000 people have commented or interacted with this question. So Bobby, man, you may get a little side job right here. That's good content. I like
you consultant.
Come up with some good quality content.
Yeah, let's get it going officially. Welcome to A to Z Sports, powered by TennesseeTickets.com. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at A to Z Sports, like our Facebook page at A to Z Sports Nashville. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they make things better for you. TennesseeTickets.com if you want Titans tickets. Titans 20 is where to go for that promo code at TennesseeTickets.com. Check them out right there, TennesseeTickets.com. Renters Warehouse, renterswarehouse.com is where to go to find out how much your home can rent for. Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, 15-minute workout of electronic muscle stimulation simulates 5+ hours in the weight room. Mandu.com, your first workout's free. Tucker Agency, giving you relief by saving you an average of 20% on your personal insurance. Head to tuckertn.com for them, and Calvin and Subtle. If you're looking for new floors, new hardwood floors and finishings, calvinandsubtle.com in the mid-state is the place to go. Zach, the 5 most impactful, 5 most pivotal moments in sports. There's a ton to pick from, but we've narrowed down to our 5 here this morning. And this kind of got the ball rolling because of last night's Long Gone Summer ESPN 30 for 30 about the steroid era in baseball, which is a very important moment to you for sure.
Well, to me, because I grew up in the steroid era as a young mind. Like everybody knows, when you're a young kid, that's kind of where sports impact you the most, right? Because you're actually playing these sports. I'm 33 years old, or about to be 33. Damn. And I don't play those. I play pickup basketball when I can, beach volleyball when I can. But you have like organized sports when you are a kid. You have the world is your oyster. You have the opportunity to be Mike Trout. Now, whether you will, I don't know. But for the steroid era, it was very impactful to me with the Sammy Sosas of the world, the Mark McGuires, the Barry Bonds, the Jose Cansecos. And it kind of made me think about what I wanted to do for this show today. And that was, let's find some more pivotal moments in sports like that have completely changed sports history, really, right? And how people, like how I watch baseball now is different because of that era, that moment of that home run battle between Sosa and McGuire. So that's kind of the question that we're going to start out with. I would like to just toss this out. I went fishing this weekend. I'm going to throw the hook out there to everybody watching. Let's come up with some moments, right? So throw out very impactful sports moments in the history. It could be boxing. It could be golf, football, baseball, traditional sports, hockey. Give me those moments or rule changes, things. I don't know what it is, but back it up. I'd be very interesting to hear what people have to say.
Yeah, Jeff Rubel brings up the tuck rule has to be one. LOL. We all remember that. With Tom Brady sitting there in Oakland in the snow, or versus Oakland in the snow in the playoffs. That's a big one. So for my 5, I spread it out. I went through 5 different sports and picked one that I thought impacted the game the most today. Like right now, how these moments, these rule changes have currently impacted today's sports and today's landscape. And so I think steroids in baseball, that's an obvious one because of what baseball went through in the early mid 90s with the lockout in 94. They had to get something back. Interest was waning in baseball. And then a lot of people say, a lot of baseball historians talk about the summer of 98, which was the McGuire-Sosa race for the home run champ, was helping save Major League Baseball in a big way to get interest back in. I remember watching WGN to see Sammy Sosa play as like an 8-9-year-old in Nashville, Tennessee. I remember watching those games, watching Mark McGuire and the Cardinals, watching Baseball Tonight on SportsCenter every night to see who took the lead that day in baseball. And Barry Bonds took it to another level in the early 2000s, getting above 70 home runs in a season and doing a lot of the same things for me as a kid. But now it came crashing down because they had to get the steroids out of the game. They went through all the trials, and then they had to overcorrect and get out of that. Baseball kind of got boring again, but really baseball had started to have a lot of more home runs, but a lot more strikeouts in the last couple of years because the long ball was prevalent once again.
But what's your moment?
One of my moments is steroids in baseball. That's what I'm talking
so you're
about.
Just recapping.
Yeah, I'm just recapping that to spend some more time on that because that was on both of our lists. I know that. For me, the next one I went to was the 3-point line in basketball, just because of and really there's 2 moments. There's the initial moment of the 3-point line in the NBA in 79.
And then there's Steph Curry's birth.
Exactly. And then there's Steph Curry and how he made it more relevant today than it ever has. Steph Curry, the Splash Bros, and James Harden changing the 3-point line in the current NBA right now, because all the analytics guys in basketball are always saying, shoot more threes. If you shoot 40 threes a game, you're probably going to make 15 to 20 of them. And that's worth so much more because of math and analytics. So you're better off shooting a bunch of threes. So that's changed today's NBA. So the 3-point line is currently my NBA representation on my list of 5.
I have that on my list as well because it kind of changed the sexiness of the actual sport. It used to be about slam dunks, mid-range jump shots by Michael Jordan, big men, right? Akeem, Shaq, David Robinson, that whole era. And it's changed, but as you alluded to, it kind of morphed into it's okay. You can be 5'10" and be okay in the NBA if you can shoot lights out. And that gave young kids that didn't have the genetics like a LeBron James that are 6'8", 275 pounds and gave them hope, right? So I absolutely have the 3-point line in basketball as one of mine. So we got steroids and the 3-point line. So we are aligned. And again, you got to remember, we don't talk about these before the show.
So we've got 3 more apiece on our list. So we're going to get more of your comments in as well. What do you think is the most impactful, most pivotal moment in modern sports? But before we get to more of your comments and the rest of our list, let me tell you about Mandu. I did a Mandu workout yesterday, and I'm feeling it today. I'm going to be sore for the rest of the day and tomorrow. And that Mandu workout only took 15 minutes. It was 15 minutes of full body electronic muscle stimulation, and that simulated 5+ hours in the weight room. It's also perfect right now for these times during the pandemic, as your regular gym might be opening back up with restrictions. Like you might have to wear a mask in your gym. You might not be able to use all the equipment. But at Mandu, it's by appointment only. It's a private workout, and everything is sanitized in between every appointment. So Mandu.com, your first workout is absolutely free. If you want to jumpstart your fitness to get back to where you used to be, Mandu is the perfect spot to do it. And your first workout is free. So take advantage of that today, Mandu.com.
A to Z Sports, we've already had some orders come in. AZ30, we're giving you 30% off all of your orders at shop.atozsportsnational.com. Get some swag, rep the brand with us. Plus, we're going to give you 30% off. And that's going to be going on until sports come back. That's kind of our give back. And people have really taken to it. They've ordered some stuff. You can too. We've got all different kinds of sizes, all different kinds of styles of shirts. Shop.atozsportsnational.com. Promo code AZ30. That's 30% off everything. All orders. If you want a hat and a shirt, you get 30% off. So that's exciting stuff. Support our brand because we truly do appreciate you.
Absolutely. We're talking about the most pivotal moments in sports, modern sports. Johnny Ling brings up something, and he says, sorry if someone mentioned already, but definitely Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball. No doubt about that, of how important that moment was. I kind of went for my exercise. I went way more modern than that, but Johnny Lee absolutely needed to bring that one up for sure.
Well, that was a good one. And then also have Jeff come in, the implementation of the playoff for the NCAA. I think that has changed how the ratings, how people cheer, how people's hopes, like it keeps people in. And as we know, I've been right on this since the inception of it. I am pro expanding the playoff. Austin is anti expanding the playoffs because he really likes it. As
I do. I like the exclusivity.
But it's wrong. It's dead wrong, and it always has been wrong. We need 8 teams to spread out the hope to change the game even more. So, Jeff, great comment right there bringing that up.
And I'm going to put Jeff's comment back up on the screen because that is one of my 5. I have the college football playoffs alongside Power 5 conferences having their own TV networks because that happens simultaneously. And I think that is a big deal for college sports. That's the biggest. Literally because it's all of the money. The college football playoff gave so much money into college football and college sports, along with the SEC network that began the same year as the first year of the college football playoff. Then all of a sudden the Big Ten had to copy it and go get a network. Then the ACC had to get a network, Pac-12 network, and the Longhorn network was obviously before all of these, and then the Big 12. But now you have hundreds of millions of dollars every year of TV revenue into college sports. So for my college sports category, my biggest impact was the college football playoff alongside the conference TV networks.
All right, that's a good one. I have, and both, there's two people that have brought up this, and let's kind of have a competition here because there can only be one. Let's say there could only be one out of these two. One of them I put down, but now I'm really starting to think which one is more important. Our own Zach Reagan does an excellent job on A to Z SportsNational.com, writing really, really relevant articles, brings up, talk about the replay in sports. What do you think about that? The replay is massive when it comes to that. Mine was Raul. Raul says, what about CTE and head trauma? That's what I said. I thought the NFL CTE changed all of the rules and how we think about the humanization of actually athletes. Which one's bigger? But how many people think that they're referees on their couch because we have replay?
That's a big one. I just think that was more obvious as technology got better with our TV cameras. You had to have that because everybody at home sees, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, like everybody sees the basketball wasn't out of the shooter's hand before the clock went off, right? Everybody at home can see that, where the referee can't necessarily see that as courtside as well as we can. Everybody can see that the first baseman's foot was off the bag and the runner should have been safe. You know, how many times have we seen that? NFL.
How many times do we still bitch about refs?
Oh, every game. But that's always been the case. And it always
But now we have tangible information. That's the hard part. I'm right, he's wrong. But that's why it's so impactful.
I'm with you. I think, and Zach Reagan also
you're
brings
starting
up,
to sigh,
no,
starting to think a little bit.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to think about.
Are.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to phrase my thoughts. I'm not trying to change my mind like you think you're making me do. But Zach Reagan also says how many outcomes pre-replay would have been altered. There's several examples of what could have been altered. But for me, I look at it and what I wrote, because on your list, you said you had the CTE and the concussion era of football. So I wrote down defenseless player rule in football. And that was in 2002 when all of a sudden receivers crossing the middle after a catch were deemed defenseless, punt returners deemed defenseless, and roughing the passer rules started to get stronger. That's what I wrote down for the most pivotal moment in our modern day NFL. It's how the rules have benefited the offense and the offense has been able to explode. So my one for the NFL is the defensive player rule in 2002. I think it's bigger than replay because replay was just going to happen because of technology.
But it did. That is the impactful moment. The moment that it did.
No, I
can't
agree.
just assume. You could say, well, I mean, technology and all these channels. I mean, it was inevitable that all these SEC and conferences were going to get networks. Like you could say the same thing about everything. That's a cop out.
No, I'm not. I agree. It's a huge impactful moment, but it didn't come to my mind. It didn't make my list because of whatever reason, because we were, different minds think differently. I thought for the NFL, the biggest change in today's and how today's NFL and what today's NFL looks like. The defenseless player rule had a huge impact on Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, all these like Drew Brees, all the big spread it out, bomb it, throw for 5,000 yards a year offenses. That's what started everything. So that's why I went with the defenseless player rule.
I think it's really close. I think I'm swayed more towards replay. Those affected those teams in those eras. Replay affects every single sport. Because it all has it now, right? Tennis, you get that line, you get that digital imprint of the ball. There's that I'm going with the replay. I like Raul, bravo. Thank you. And that's the whole reason why we wanted to do this is bring to the table some things that maybe we didn't think about. But I'm replacing, look, head injuries and CTE is important. I don't want to discredit it, but replay impacts all of sports. And that it has to be on this list when we're asking the moments in sports history.
Yeah, and again, that's just the different approach that me and you took of this as we created this topic at 7:30 this morning and went and jotted it down on our list. It wasn't like we took 2 days to come up with an article or something like that. So yeah, I went sport by sport to get as many sports involved, but I think you're right. Replay is a huge impactful thing. And so you're adding that to your list of 5?
Yeah, well, yeah, if I have to get narrowed down to 5, that has to be in it.
So what's getting booted then?
Well, I don't know. I'm going through my list. I've come up with, I think the 3-point shot absolutely has to be in there, right?
Yes.
Replay absolutely has to be in there. And steroids in baseball absolutely has to be in there. The other one that I wrangled with, and this is kind of a side one, I had a couple of football ones. But look, I think you cannot ignore the greater part of sports and what it's done in the world. The 2 things that came to mind, obviously, and it's relevant now here recently, Colin Kaepernick's kneeling and Ray Rice's domestic violence, because we actually saw that, right? And Roger Goodell in the NFL got it wrong at first, only suspending him in 2 games, and then public scrutiny came in and he had to change the punishment. Those 2 things really impact how we punish players in domestic violence. And I think hopefully, right, isn't this was what we're talking about now? Hopefully we now understand that the kneeling was not the representation of the flag, but it really was to put in the forefront of the Black Lives Matter and the injustice between police officers and African Americans or minorities.
Sure. No, that's good too. And like, that's the thing is we're trying to narrow down to 5. And I saw a Bleacher Report article this morning that had 200. Like, and it was, of course, it was a Bleacher Report slideshow, and I could give my thoughts on how I view Bleacher Report. But like, there are so many different examples. Like Dom brought up, Dom Odell says the one and done rule in the NCAA. I had on my fringe list, it didn't make my top 5, but I had Kevin Garnett going from high school to the NBA in 1995 because a lot of the late 90s and early 2000s was a lot of straight from high school to the league. Then you had the college basketball one and done rule. And so there's been that those kind of go hand in hand. So that's a great option. So I've already named, I think 4 of my 5. Steroids in baseball, 3-point line, the defensive player in the NFL in 2002, and the college football playoff and TV networks in conferences, which is 2014.
All right, so I don't have the SEC or the conference networks. I think we're aligned on a lot of ours. I have one that I don't think that you've thought of because it completely – this is how I'm going to get replay in and going to get safety in because I do think that but I'm going to go about it a different way.
Okay.
I think it was Muhammad Ali's diagnosis of Parkinson's. I think that changed boxing forever, but it really made us think more about head trauma. And I had that written down because he was diagnosed at age 42, 3 years, just 3 years after he retired from the sport. We all know boxing has never been the same. And Austin, you and I don't claim to have lived in that era where our parents have talked about and grandparents have talked about when Muhammad Ali fought in those fights versus Joe Frazier, the Rumble. I mean, there were so many great big fights. Yeah. That put boxing on such a world level. And then after that, it's really never returned. You know, we've had the Fury fights here recently. Floyd Mayweather going 50-0, Money Mayweather just dominating. But nothing even close to what Muhammad Ali did inside the ring and outside the ring, and all came crashing down because his life was really cut short. If you're diagnosed with Parkinson's at age 42, and I have to look out of how long he lived with that disease for quite some time, that changed sports. So that's how I'm going to get in the safety. I'm just going to go out a different way instead of CTE in football. Yeah. I'm going to go boxing.
Okay. Interesting. And Nardo says boxing will never be golden. Again, I agree. Jeff brings up one. He says it's not implemented yet. Excuse me. But the name, image, and likeness rule in the NCAA. That will be something that whenever it happens, and it's probably going to happen over the next couple of years, whenever that does, I'm very curious to see the unintended consequences that rule has. Because I definitely agree that college athletes should be able to profit off of their name, image, likeness while they are at, for the majority of these college athletes, the highest profile they will have is while they're playing the sport for their university. Like you could talk about the Vols basketball team from a couple of years ago. Remember the one fly, all fly mantra? T-shirts were made, and a lot of those guys, like a couple of them are in the NBA, but the majority of them are not even going to sniff the NBA. But that was the most marketable point in their life, and they weren't able to make any money off of it. So I agree with Jeff that at some point will have a huge impact. Zach, I have my last on my list, I think is probably the most unique that we have mentioned. And I'm intrigued to see how you're going to think about this. But before I get to my last one, I want you to tell people about the Tucker Agency and how they can help you save some money.
I absolutely can. Will Tucker and his team can help you save money right now, right today, right here on June 15th. He can help you. TuckerTN.com is the website. They're Nashville's independent insurance agency. And maybe you've lost some income. Maybe you've lost some money. Maybe you've lost a job. And you're trying to find a way. I think we're all trying to find a way to save and make some more money, save some more money, have some more money. Well, maybe redoing your insurance policy. That can be a strategic way, still have the same really solid coverage. And if you're a human driving around, you have insurance. You have to have car insurance. If you own a home, you have home insurance. If you've got if you rent, you have renter's insurance. If you have get kids, you should have life insurance. That policy is usually under umbrella. He can make that, and the average customer saves 20% when they go to Tucker Agency. Will at TuckerTN.com. That's Will at TuckerTN.com. Email him directly. Just say, heard about you on A to Z Sports. How can I save some money on my insurance? That simple. His team will go to work for you. Will at TuckerTN.com.
All right, A to Z Sports. Don't forget, Zach mentioned it already, but AZ30 for 30% off any of our gear at shop.atozsportsnashville.com. So check that out, shop.atozsportsnashville.com to check out our gear. So Zach, I'll re-go over my list real quick because I have 5, right? I've got steroids in baseball, the three-point line, the defenseless player in the NFL in 2002, college football playoff, and conference TV networks in 2014.
I think this before you get to yours, okay, we are tabling coronavirus because that has to be on the list regardless, right? That's kind of another reason why coronavirus has got to be on the list because we don't know how it's going to impact us, but damn sure it's going to impact.
Well, we don't know how we're going to come out. Like, we don't know what it looks like on the other side yet. And so that's, I think, why we have to table that. I agree. But a lot of what sports is today, and that's why how I looked at this. How is sports today and what big pivotal moments help create what it currently is? And I said for the last spot, the 5th spot on my list, internet fantasy sports has to be on this. And I don't know if you had this or not, but the growth of the internet and to be able to go on Yahoo and look at your fantasy football team, fantasy baseball team, and do that via the internet instead of the box scores in the newspaper on Monday morning. Internet fantasy sports changed it all because it broadened the audience of all sports, not just football, not just baseball, but there's internet NASCAR, there's internet golf or fantasy NASCAR, there's all that stuff. And so it made more people care, and it all dipped our toes into sports gambling even further. Like fantasy sports, you put $50 down on your fantasy football team. That's your gateway drug into sports gambling, no matter how far you take it or not. But internet fantasy sports, I think, definitely has to be on this list.
All right, so I think we can put these two together. I truly do, because I had a very unique take on my number 5.
Okay.
And Lewis, I think he was talking about me playing at 1 o'clock today against the Pittsburgh Steelers, possibly in the snow. Who knows what the weather is going to be in Pittsburgh at 1 o'clock in Blitzland. But joystick mania, video game, sports video games. And you have esports that have been brought up by Jeff right here.
Right.
2K. How much has that changed and gotten kids younger involved, and they think that they're Giannis Antetokounmpo because they play 2K
and FIFA, right? Like
FIFA and
the
Madden,
growth of soccer, yeah.
And we talked about the likeness of the NCAA. Like, that's tough because maybe less kids are more knowledgeable and passionate about college sports because of that. I mean, I remember playing like NCAA basketball when they had it. Those graphics were awful. Number 42 passes to number 17 to number 12, and number 12 hits the basket. I still played the damn game, but like I think video games has to be on this list. Fantasy is so impactful too, because fantasy, like Janice in the office is playing fantasy football because she wants to be a part of it, right?
Right. And Jacob, and let's think about this. Jacob says that fantasy sports made him care about games that didn't have my team in them, which does what? Like, remember the NFL used to be, you have your AFC TV network, your NFC TV network, and you get your games wherever you're at. That's the game you're going to get. But then all of a sudden DirecTV is like, hey, if we create this thing called Sunday Ticket, now we can make money off of people who want to watch their fantasy football players that are not in their regionally televised games. Then you have the NFL Network coming along and creating NFL Red Zone that's all for fantasy football. No commercials, every touchdown, every red zone appearance, replayed live, all this kind of stuff. So I think fantasy sports was a gateway drug into a lot of how we consume sports today, from a fantasy standpoint, from a gambling standpoint, how TV networks are set up for that, how you have apps on your phone for live updates. I think fantasy sports on the internet, because guys were doing fantasy baseball in the 80s, but they were having to do it with newspaper clippings and a calculator, right? So, but once it got on the internet, it made everything easier, and people started doing it all over the place.
So I like how we got both to the same type of mindset towards the end, because you can't ignore how that's impacted and changed sports. I think we've come up with some really the relevant ones, right? The big time impactful ones. We talked a lot about safety. You talked about the changing of rules, replay a little bit, cheating as far as steroids is concerned, and esports, because that's taken over. And those are only going to get bigger because, hell, our entire business is based on the internet. We no longer work for a radio station. We own our own digital media company. That was something that could have never really been done 20 years ago.
No doubt. No doubt. A to Z Sports here live on a Monday. Let's get to this. We ran a live poll. Well, not a live poll. We ran a poll over the weekend about, would you attend a sporting event today if you were able to? Would you attend a sporting event today if you were able to? We'll get to some of the comments from the social media post yesterday. I'll also take a live poll with you guys right now. But first, I'm going to tell you about renterswarehouse.com. They are the professional landlords in the Nashville area. Renterswarehouse.com is where to go to find out how much your home can rent for, because there are so many different ways you can use Renters Warehouse, and there are alternatives to just selling your house when you move out. You can rent out your home, continue to build that equity in your property. That's how you get long-term wealth and that mailbox money from other people paying your mortgage and then some. Renters Warehouse can also help you out if you own Airbnbs and you have not been able to rely on any travelers and visitors from out of state. Renterswarehouse.com can temporarily rent out those properties as well. No binding contracts, no marketing costs, $89 a month, and they do it all. Renterswarehouse.com is where to go.
All right, get ready. Season finale, 1 o'clock at Pittsburgh, Week 17. Trying to go 13-3. And how fitting would that be if this Blitz 2000 Titans team went 13-3, just like the actual team in 1999?
Didn't they go 12-4? Or was it 13-3?
I believe they went 13-3. I mean, we can check that, but I'm almost positive they went 13-3. 1999 Tennessee Titans. Let's check.
Yeah, you got that. You're on it right now. I can hear you typing.
13-3, okay. Just like I said. So
there you go.
You were wrong. I was right.
I was wrong. That's right.
So
okay.
Really messed up the smoothness of that.
Just making sure. All right. So, Zach, you put out this poll, thanks to Bobby last week. You put out this poll yesterday. Would you attend a sporting event today if you were able? What were you expecting the results to be? Because I'll grab the Twitter poll results so I can get a percentage on this, and then we'll read some comments from you guys. But what were your expectations when you hit send on this on these posts yesterday?
I knew that it would be the majority yes, because we are asking sports fans, right? Sports fans who have had 2 months to not have anything. And that's hard. And I'm a sports fan. You're a sports fan. That's why I thought that the poll would go the way that it actually did. But I also thought we'd have a couple of people like Jacob who says, not a chance. I'm a Preds and Vols season ticket holder. Those crowds are the exact people who think COVID is a hoax. I'm not taking that risk. I'll sell my tickets. And look, I respect Jacob and his opinion. I think that if you want to rely on safety, or let's say if you have an underlying condition, no way you should go to these games. But if you do feel like you want to get back to life, and I think people are trying to so desperately get back to normalcy, and we have not felt that, and I don't think that we're going to feel that for several months. But I thought that, yes, they would go. I think if you wanted to fill a stadium, you could fill a stadium today.
Interesting. Yeah. It's just, how would you do that? So the Twitter poll result, there is 1 hour left where you could go vote at A to Z Sports on Twitter. Right now, 76% yes, people would go. And I am a yes, I would go. I think it depends. I would more likely be going to a football game or an outdoor sporting event than I would a basketball game or a hockey game. I think that makes logical sense to me. But I would go. You know what I would love to go to like now is a golf tournament. If there was a golf tournament in Nashville, I would be all about that because there's space. You can walk around. It's kind of slow, but it's a relaxed pace, but you get to see some pretty incredible things. So I would be a yes, but it would most likely have to be an outdoor sporting event for me. I would have to think twice about an indoor event, especially depending on the venue.
So I think more people have opened their minds to going to sporting events. And we had a comment talking about the compare. Oh, and Texas Sports 1015 said this. It says, you've seen the protests, you see why not sports. That's what you see. Because you like social distancing has been a very real thing. We've been confined to our home, quarantined, as you see. And then when the Black Lives Matter movement started to go up, you saw protests, right? Protests are the absolute opposite of social distancing. You saw massive crowds all over the country for a good cause coming together to protest for Black Lives Matter. I do believe that gave people, because that was the first sight that anybody had seen big, large gatherings. And I'm talking like tens of thousands of people, right?
I remember the first time I saw like a crowded patio at a restaurant. I was kind of like taken aback by what it looked like. I was like, whoa, that's the most people I've seen in one place in a long time. So I think
I think that influences people to say it's okay because other people have done it and we have not. Look, cases in Florida have gone up. Cases in Tennessee have gone up. Other cases in other states have stayed the same or gone down. You've gotten conflicting reports on all this. The asymptomatic question mark, all of these questions. But at the end of the day, if we haven't seen the news coverage just completely spike back up like it did 2 months ago. If that happened, then I think people would be freaking out, but that hasn't happened.
And Rob's right. You can't regulate protesters like that. Just like my brother on Friday's show, I think brought up that the part you're worried about most is the fans that are outside of the venue. Once you get them inside the stadium or inside the arena or inside the racetrack or whatever it might be, it's easier to regulate what they are doing and how they're doing it. But it's how the crowds get to the venue and then how the crowds leave and what they do after the fact. Because I saw Goodspeed on Periscope says I'd go, but probably wouldn't go see my elderly family members for a few weeks after. And I think that's a smart way to go about it. And it's just an interesting thing is it really depends on the sporting event. I'm at a case by case basis, but I'm obviously a yes. But hockey game or like a high school basketball game because it's in a small gym and there is no extra space. That's something that I probably wouldn't do because I know for damn sure I am not going to a crowded bar downtown, like at late night when there's people shoulder to shoulder. That is something I have zero interest in doing now, but really because I had zero interest in doing that before COVID either.
I had a lot of interest in doing that. I did that a lot before COVID. Now my interest is waned because of the threat, but it's also bars are not the same. I went out for really the first time this weekend to a couple of bars, had brunch and went to another, and it just wasn't the same. I mean, the people atmospheres in those places, that's what makes the experience fun, right? And when you take the atmosphere out of it because there's less people and everybody's freaking out about a damn mask and coronavirus, it doesn't make it fun for me, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't show me this unbelievable thing and then take pieces away and make me still think it's going to be unbelievable. That's not how this works. So that's where I struggle. I don't know how long it's going to take to get back. I think it's going to be not until 2021. The vaccine is our only hope because it is a singular science. Not a lot of people do understand science. I don't claim to be a scientist or biologist or any means understand that. But once a vaccine comes out and says this is FDA approved and all this other stuff, or see whatever the CDC has said, this is it, that will give people less fear to do things that they did before. Until then, we're going to be freaking out because some people are, look, it's just like anything. Some people are Democrats, some people are Republicans. We have different views of how we think, and that goes into our day-to-day lives.
So are you a yes or a no overall?
Would I go
to a sporting event today? And you can be like me and you can divvy it up and make it and have some nuance with it. I don't care. Or are you leaning? Because I'm leaning yes, depending on the game, the venue, outdoor versus indoor, the size of the venue. But I would have to talk myself out of it with a no, not the other way around.
Do I have an opportunity to go see LeBron James play? I'm freaking going. Yes, I'm in. I am in. Do I have an opportunity to go see, I don't know, a random Preds Calgary game? Probably don't. I don't mind sitting in my house and watching that. So that's where I'm at. I have to be tops of the tops to be able to say absolutely yes.
It has to be. It has to be like a playoff.
I'm majority no. I think I'm a majority no. I guess I didn't really know how I was going to answer that question, but you're going to have to give me everything that I want. I'm talking about 50-yard line tickets, mid-court tickets, good seats, and then I'm going.
Let me propose a situation to you because I know you've done this several times over the last couple of years. If the Sounds were playing a game and you had a group of your buddies that say, hey, Zach, we're going to go to the Sounds game and we're going to go out there in the bandbox and hang out, are you in? Would you be in or would you be out? Because that's at a sporting event.
I would be in.
You would be in.
That doesn't scare me because I'm in the bandbox, right? I'm around people.
But you're still like, being in a bandbox is probably more.
It's like being in a bar.
Right.
You've been in a bar.
Yes.
I'm talking about what would give me pause is like being in a seat and I'm in the middle of the row and I can't leave without interacting with somebody, right?
If Ole Miss was playing Mississippi State next Saturday, and you had tickets, what would you do with them?
That's really tough. I hate State. I would love to see Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin just beat the tar out of them. But
if you've got tickets and they're not like box seats, they're regular tickets, regular seat tickets. You've got them, like you've already paid for them or whatever, you know. So
I go to that game. I do.
Yeah. So you're more yes than you are. No, I think.
Yeah, but you gave me and I have to go with my heart because if my buddies say, "Hey, we're going to the Sounds," because I haven't seen them in 2 months. That's probably one of the reasons why I want to go is because I haven't hung out with them. We haven't gone to the bar like we used to, right? I haven't had that interaction or that time to be like, hey, man, let's get some shots. Let's have a good time. And that's what's been missing from my life. That's why I'm more apt to go. It's not about COVID. It's what COVID has taken away from me and my life, right? That spurs my answer. So I'm glad you talked me through that scenario, but those are my honest answers.
Jeffrey brings up, what about a concert? If your buddy, same group of guys, hey, so-and-so is playing at a Sin Amphitheater, are you going?
There's really not. There's
not
very few people. Yeah, few concerts that I have to go. I'm. It's not that I'm not a concert guy. I like concerts. It's just the concert doesn't spur me to say, "Hell yeah, I'm in."
Okay. I mean, I would go to a Sin Amphitheater way before I would go to a concert in Bridgestone.
Yeah.
Okay, how about, all right, if Dave Chappelle, because Dave Chappelle was supposed to be in Nashville in April, and it was going to be
Yes, I'm going. Yes, I'm going.
In Bridgestone Arena?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, because Dave Chappelle is the LeBron James of comedy.
I don't know what I'm paying for that ticket, but hell yeah, I'm going.
Right? I had tickets to go see Bill Burr, who is the Larry Bird of comedy, right?
All right, Zach. Alex has you another question. If Pitbull is playing at a Sin Amphitheater in Nashville and you got tickets, are you going?
Hell yeah, I'm going.
And then Zach Reagan nails it. Zach Reagan says, so basically, we just aren't going to stuff we wouldn't go to before.
But you're hitting all of my heartstrings, right?
Exactly,
Like you're playing all of them.
Right.
Like, it's hard. So Zach Reagan is right. You ask me all of the loves and the passions that I have. I love comedy.
Games you.
I love LeBron James. I love Ole Miss. I love Pitbull. Yeah, of course. I can't miss those. That's what I enjoy. Hell, if I'm going to go down with COVID, I might as well be going, hey, yeah. I'm going to be singing with Pitbull.
Easy on the earpiece, man. You're screaming into that microphone. All right,
you little Mr. 305 in your life.
All right, guys, let's get to our end-of-show topic because I think we've all realized that, yes, we would go to the things that we would normally go to at this point. Maybe not a hockey game. I would shy away from a Preds game just because of it being inside. All right, let's get to our end-of-show topic. Zach brought this up last week. How many times a day do you text yourself? Just think about that. Like, I text myself, Zach texts himself. How many times a day do you text yourself? But first, Zach's going to tell you about Calvin and Subtle.
Yeah, Calvin and Subtle is where you need to get your hardwood floors. You can text yourself Calvin and Subtle right now. If your wife been talking about redoing their hardwood floors, replacing the carpet, it's very, very simple. That's what you need to do. CalvinandSubtle.com is the place to go. Right there, you see it on the screen, 615-448-6414. Here's how it works. You call them at that number, 615-448-6414. You say, hey, I'm looking at replacing my hardwood floors. They come out, they take the CDC precautions, wear masks, wear gloves, and they take a look, see what you want to be replaced. Whether maybe it's the hardwood floors in your kitchen or your dining room, your living room, you want to replace some carpet. They say, no problem. You give them a call. You pick out your perfect hardwood floors, 1 to 2 weeks. They order the material and they install it. Boom, you're out. They have cost-effective material. That's the best part. They got $1.99 per square foot. You can save a lot of money. Great hardwood floors. They also have some lap of luxury. CalvinandSubtle.com.
All right, A to Z Sports here live on a Monday. Don't forget AZ30, 30% off anything at shop.atozsportsnashville.com. Promo code AZ30 at shop.atozsportsnashville.com. Funny because we're getting the results from this. How many times you text yourself a day and you get Rob saying, huh? None. Jacob saying 0. Titanfly saying, huh? Why? Then you get Jeffrey saying texting no, but he does send himself social media posts. Shrike says 0. Why would you text yourself? Louis says 0. I don't even know how you would do that. And Michael McDonald says, what, Zach? What does Michael McDonald say?
0.
I was going to wait for you to try to sing it. But anyway, so I'm surprised that nobody else is like texting themselves. Nobody has commented like, oh yeah, I texted myself a few times. Everybody, like Jeff saying like on purpose. Johnny says, is that really a thing? I don't know if that's because Zach Reagan, thank you. But maybe it's because Zach Reagan does what we do and works in social media and media, that He uses as a notes. Oh, he uses notes more than texting himself.
Well, so BMO brings up an example. Says I don't text myself often, but also screenshot. If I text something, it's usually to my wife, who texts back confused, like light bulb, smoke detector, batteries, and her response is "WTF?" Does that mean? So that's kind of what we're trying to go for, BMO. I was just going and looking at my texts in today's the 15th. The last 3 days, I've texted myself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 times.
In the last how many days?
5 days.
So twice a day.
Well, no, in the last 3 days.
So 3.5 times a day.
Yeah. But I text myself articles that maybe I want to read. I'll give you an example. I texted myself a New York Post article about Tony Soprano because I'm not done with The Sopranos. I'm on like almost the last season, but I want to read that article when I'm done, right? So I'm going to have that so I can go back and do it. I also I was looking at getting a fishing license. I've texted that. I have some other things that I'll reveal about Blitz 2000 that I've texted myself. So yes, I absolutely do, because I now have a chain that I can always go back and find something, right? I don't know where else to do that.
Right.
You can't do that in notes.
Especially because we have Mac computers and we have iPhones. So our text messages go to the same place. Now, I used to text myself probably 2 to 3 times a day, but then a few months ago, my iCloud got all jacked up, and so now it's not as smooth as it normally would be to text myself back and forth, because now it comes in 2 different text chains. But I text myself at least once a day, and it's normally the titles of our show or something along the lines of that. But yes, sending myself links, that's what I do most of the time, because I know I'll be on my computer and I'll see an article I want to read, and I'll text it to myself so I can quickly open up that article on my phone and read it there, so I'm not reading it on my computer. So that's where I text myself the most.
Yeah, and it's a reminder. And BMO says he sends him links to articles. I save those articles right there. You know, they have the like feature on Twitter, which helps. But like Facebook, I don't want to save videos on Facebook, because Facebook keeps reminding me, do I want to watch this video? And I'm like, get out of my stuff, Facebook. I use you enough for other things.
Yeah. There are 2 things I use as file cabinets. It's text messages to myself and email drafts. That's my file cabinets.
Well, we figured out we're very different than other people, I guess.
Maybe so. I don't know. What does that mean about us? Because the fact that people are confused that we text ourselves, and Rob saying "Good Lord" by the amount of times,
it's like it's like a Post-it note, right?
Correct.
It's a digital Post-it note.
I also have an agenda now. I am a new agenda person, like where I had the flip through, which that I probably text myself less because I have that. I can just quickly, because I'm also a pin guy. I don't know if you guys notice, I have a pin every show.
Yeah. What would make your life easier is, instead of becoming an agenda guy, becoming a Apple Calendar guy and putting it all on your phone.
I do that as well. I like crossing things out that I've finished. And I'm somebody that I write things down and I remember it better. So that's why that helps me. But and you can plan things further ahead. So, and plus I'm on my phone enough. I need to get off my phone. And if having an agenda helps me get off my phone some, then that works.
All right, guys, we've had a great show. Talked a little bit, it was a broad topic, but I thought we touched on a lot of relevant things that have impacted what the world we live in and sports in general. Don't forget, 1:00 today at Pittsburgh, season finale, trying to go 13-3. And if Denver loses, I do have an update about the Broncos, who've only lost 2 games, when I go live at 1:00. I mean, it is getting down to it. I could have an opportunity Thursday to play for the Super Bowl on my birthday, but I can't get ahead of myself. 1 week at a time, trying to get through this week and get to the playoffs. Follow along. A lot of people have, and I appreciate it. We've had overwhelming views on me playing 64, but it's been fun. 1:00 today, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Zach Reagan says y'all need to have the iPhone screen time report discussion. Do we?
But no, it would be a good bet. Who has more screen time?
Let's do that next Monday. I'll text you. We'll do that next Monday.
We do that tomorrow.
Well, no. Well, the reason why we can do it next Monday, we can do it tomorrow because the screen report comes out on Sundays, and I don't want our future discussion to have any impact on our screen time usage over the next week.
Yeah, so we should do it tomorrow.
So we're doing that tomorrow. So tomorrow we will have our screen time report, and G-Man says over under on screen time. G-Man on base, I will, because I know mine from last week off the top of my head. I do.
Well,
yeah.
Don't say anything.
I'm not going to say it. I'm gonna let G-Man create the over under for the show for me and for Zach on screen time average per day. I'm going to let G-Man, you have the power to create the over under. You don't have to do it now. You can sit on it, wait on it, and report back, tweet us, and let us know what the over under is going to be set at. We can talk about that tomorrow.
Damn, I don't even know mine.
I know mine.
Is it bad?
I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to impact G-Man's over under.
And this is over under for the full week.
This is last week because your screen report comes out on Sundays, and so it was from last week. And I have my screen time average hours, minutes a day for last week.
But we're doing all together.
Phone. Your phone screen time.
Phone. Yeah, we're doing phone screen time, like full number of hours for the entire week.
Yeah, I mean, you just multiply what you average per day.
I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right one.
Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah. So it shows average per day. So that's kind of what we go by. So we will have our screen time reports. We'll create pretty graphics and put them up on the screen. That's what you'll do too. I'll create my screen time report graphic, and you can make yours for tomorrow's show. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day. We will see you tomorrow with our embarrassing report. Thanks for watching. See you later.
Adios.